We've all been there. You're presenting clear facts and using airtight logic, yet the person across from you looks at you with absolute defiance. It is exhausting. But what if the problem isn't actually your argument? What if they literally lack the mental hardware required to understand you? By exposing the psychological reality behind limited cognitive agility, we can identify the specific behavioral patterns that lead to these dead-end interactions. We live in a world that measures intelligence through standardized tests and degrees. However, real cognitive capability is more accurately revealed in the invisible habits of everyday conversation. Mathematically, it is impossible for everyone to possess above-average intelligence, yet the human ego often assumes it holds the high ground. Identifying these psychological traits allows you to conserve your limited emotional energy and protect your peace of mind. When this ego meets real cognitive limitation, it produces a predictable set of behavioral defense mechanisms that we can now diagnose. An adaptable mind can navigate the gray areas of life. It takes significant internal energy to hold two opposing ideas in your mind simultaneously and still function. A brain operating with lower processing power instinctively protects itself from that exhaustion by oversimplifying the world into binary extremes. To a rigid mind, everything is entirely good or entirely bad, completely right or completely wrong. You can hear this in a person's vocabulary. When someone constantly relies on absolute words like always, never, everyone, or nobody, they are attempting to shrink a complex universe into digestible pieces. While smart individuals are often hyper-aware of what they do not know, lower cognitive flexibility breeds absolute certainty. A famous Cornell University study demonstrated that individuals scoring lowest on tests of logic consistently overestimated their own performance. These individuals lack the specific psychological tools required to recognize their own blind spots. In a highly developed mind, facts dictate feelings. If the data changes, their understanding of reality shifts to match it. This logic flowchart demonstrates how a rigid mind reverses that process. New objective information routes directly to temporary emotions. If uncomfortable, it's categorized as false. Lacking depth for a counterargument, it defaults to a loop of raw aggression and noise for a cheap victory. Instead of asking questions to bridge a gap in understanding, they repeat their original point over and over, getting louder each time. They operate on the belief that whoever speaks the loudest is the winner. For the rigid mind, every conversation functions as a battlefield where they must defend a fragile ego against objective truth. An adaptable mind treats its beliefs like software, ready for an update. A rigid mind treats its personal beliefs like a permanent tattoo. Because their identity is fused to their knowledge, new evidence feels like a personal attack. They will invent wildly illogical excuses to dismiss proven facts rather than do the work of changing their mind. This creates a breakdown in abstract thinking. They struggle to visualize long-term consequences or play the mental chess of thinking several steps ahead. Look at the difference in how events are processed in this comparison chart. Rigid minds react only to what is directly in front of them, leading to a constant confusion between simple correlation and actual causation. This blindness to abstract timelines makes them unable to trace their current disasters back to impulsive decisions they made weeks prior. Personal growth requires us to look at our own flaws objectively to figure out how to improve. When baseline cognitive capacity is low, the human ego becomes dangerously fragile and blocks this reflection. Even the gentlest attempt to correct their behavior, no matter how kindly it is done, is immediately perceived as a humiliating attack. Instead of listening, they will immediately deflect responsibility, play the victim, or launch a counterassault. Attempting to correct a rigid mind is functionally impossible because they cannot separate their core human worth from their performance on a specific task. Internalizing the fact that an opponent lacks the biological flexibility to process your perspective changes how you react to them. Your frustration evaporates as you stop wasting your valuable time on a person who cannot meet you in a rational space. You find peace by letting go of the anger that comes from expecting rational behavior from an irrational source. The philosopher Bertrand Russell once noted, "The whole problem with the world is that fools and fanatics are always so certain of themselves, and wiser people so full of doubts. True intelligence involves mastering the timing of when to speak your mind, when to sit back and observe, and when to simply walk away. Recognizing these psychological patterns empowers you to navigate a complex world with a much deeper, calmer understanding of human nature. If you value deep psychology and critical thinking, subscribe to Brain Library. Turn on notifications to join our community dedicated to self-mastery. Thank you for watching.